Shout out to the Love Island Australia Superfans. Let's get into this little TV talk. If you're not watching Love Island Australia Season 7, it's airing right now. You really should be. A lot's happened these past several episodes, and I just caught up on this latest episode, episode 17. And as I said, Love Island Superfans, you guys are great. Let me back up quickly, because if you don't know, Love Island Australia is, the way they do it is, they film the show that we're seeing right now, they film it in the summer. Like they filmed it in like July or whatever, and it's airing now because it's summer right now in Australia. So they film it kind of differently. They film it in Spain, whatever, that way they could play it later. So it's like during the summertime and it kind of fits the vibe, right? Most other Love Islands, like it's kind of like almost like an alive situation, like we're on like a 2-day delay. It's like, let's say on the USA version, the Islanders might be experiencing on a Monday and we might see it on like a Wednesday. So Love Island Australia is peculiar, and because of this, they have these super fans who basically, it's a collection of Love Island Australia super fans. I'm not sure how many of them there are, how they're even selected, whatever. They are the ones who basically like watch a feed in the villa, or they might be curated clips, whatever, and they are the ones who like do voting if there's ever voting. It's never a public vote. It's the super fans do it. And the episode today, Sophie said a couple episodes back to the Islanders, when I come back, at least one person will be getting dumped. So she came today in this episode, episode 17, and said, all right, one of you is getting dumped, and we had the Islanders vote for who their favorite, the superfans vote for who their favorite Islander is. Just like, no, don't think about couples, whatever, just who's your favorite Islander. And as I said, we've had a lot go on the past several days in Love Island. And who we have in the villa right now, we have Alex, who's a bombshell, Boston, who's a bombshell. We have Mia, who's a bombshell. They all kind of pick different people. Who else in the villa? We have Gabby and Jotham are still there together. Kai and Yana have recently got together. They're there. Mateo and Tamara are together. Mick and Mia are paired up. Who else do we have? Is Ross still there? Oh yeah, Ross. I'm thinking about Roscoe. Ross is there. Sharn and the whole Boston drama is still going on. We have Connor and Isabel. And yeah, that's pretty much who we have who are in the villa at this moment. So we had, today we had 14 Islanders, 7 couples. But let me back up again to what's been going on. There's been a lot of discussion. I've seen some of it. I haven't really looked too much in like the Love Island Australia like Twitter hashtag or some of the TikToks, whatever. I've seen some of it about the way Mia and Boston were treated when they came into the villa as bombshells. And obviously they're there. People weren't good couples. They have to mix some things up. Mia was most interested in Mick and Jotham. She ended up picking Mick. And Boston was most interested in Ross. And also Mick a little bit, but Mick was like a friend from home. And really Ross, her eyes were set on. Ross has been with Sharn since day one. And Jotham obviously has been with Gabby. Gabby, though, was having some eyes for Alex. Remember, this is when the girls watched the dates on like the movie theater. They watched the dates, so she was seeing like Jotham like flirt with me a little bit, was feeling upset, yada whatever. Sharn was seeing Ross like say he's open, all these kind of things, which they are open, but it's always one of those things where you say you're open, but then when someone's giving your guy attention and maybe you're not getting anything back from other people, you're like, obviously you're feeling threatened and things like that. And you get to think of the whole Love Island aspect. You need to be in a couple to stay in the villa. So all that's going on, and the girls have been quite cold to the new girls, particularly obviously Gabby and Sharn, who have different reasons because those new girls are going for the guys that they like, but also Isabel. Isabel is, there's quite somewhat of a girls kind of clique in there. It's quite clear. So those three, Tamara was getting on it a little bit, and I'm like, Tamara, please stay out of that. Like, no, please be like you. And also now and then Yana was getting into it, especially today. Yana and Mia are both tradies, so they kind of got on right away, but she still was kind of not she was still in there a little bit. But really it's been those three, Gabby, Sharn, and Isabel. And like quite rude, quite talking behind the backs. Some people have, maybe said like the way, in particular, how they've been dealing with Boston, could be some racist elements in there. I think Love Island Australia in general is quite, they do not do well with black female contestants on that show. I think usually they never succeed. Usually they're in there not very long. Think about the girl we had in the beginning of the show. She got dumped like almost right away. And then also other times in terms of, sometimes maybe some of the combativeness that we see, whatever. So there's been all those kind of things going on, and there's been several lead-ups. They had a confrontation the other day after one of the challenges or whatever, where Boston and Mia were telling Mick about how you were kind of excluded. Mick said something about like, why aren't you guys inviting the girls to like go get food with you or go chat with you, whatever. They kind of had a little confrontation. Isabel to Mia was saying like, I'm talking. No, you speak in a minute. I'm talking. It was quite like a ganged up on situation, and Mia was kind of just sitting there like, she was saying later, I kind of was just sitting there like taking it, like I didn't want to do more of this. So there's been all of that going on for days now. We've seen it. Boston especially, she actually coupled up with Ross. So now her and Ross are getting to know each other. Other things, like when they were doing challenges, Boston kisses Ross as their kissing challenge. Everyone's getting kissed. Everyone's silent. And the dance challenge they did the other night, Ross is dancing for Boston. Everyone's silent. Like instead of everyone usually hyping everyone up. So obviously there's been like lots of tension, lots of animosity, lots of just like butting heads. And with Isabel in particular, again, like I mentioned, her kind of situation with Mia and her general kind of like going in with the girls, like, being quite rude and like, doing all that they've been doing. That's been quite like, wow, this is like a lot to see. But then the challenge that they had was like, kind of like the sexy dance challenge. The boys dance for the girls and everyone is like, doing their thing. Most of the boys pretty much like focus on the person they're coupled up with and like get them a little extra. Mick goes in there. Mick's kind of like, he kind of like stirs the pot sometimes. He goes in there, he gives everyone like, he gives Mia the most, but he goes in there and gives everyone like this, like a proper like dance and is like doing a lot to everybody. Right after that's over, some of the girls say to Isabel right away, oh, that was a bit much, wasn't it? And I think Isabel had said first, like, no, like that was fun or whatever. And then the girls say, Isabel, that was a bit much. And then she was like, yeah, you're right, actually. I was looking at Connor and he looked upset. Meanwhile, Connor's up there dapping up Mick and they're all laughing. They're all having a great time. And so Isabel gets her like wheels turning, like, oh, that's so disrespectful to Connor, yada, yada, yada. And she in general is you could tell she's quite like a strong personality and things like that. Even like going back, let's think like where Sharn and Ross were fighting, and she's sitting there talking to Ross like, why are you going over there sitting by yourself and yada yada, and Connor was sitting there and she's like, don't say anything, like be quiet, whatever. And some people like that, and I think that's in some situations that's fine. She has standards in certain things and she like whatever. But anyway, so her head maybe starts to get turning and she's saying, yeah, Connor looked uncomfortable, or Connor is disrespecting Connor, whatever. Mick ended up getting like most of the girls like heart raised the most. So he's also like taking the piss in that sense. Like maybe they're more upset because that's happening. She's talking to Connor on the way up. Connor's having a fun time. So I thought it would be bad, but actually it was like a laugh and he was yada yada. And then one of the girls, I think Gabby, said to Isabel, like, are you okay? She's like, yeah. And he was like, oh, like something wrong. Like he had like something's up, whatever. Then she talks to him and then she's basically saying, yeah, he's like taking the piss and he's like disrespecting you. That's what I most didn't like and yada yada. And Connor's in his mind like, oh, okay. And he's like hearing this and he's saying like, yeah, you should say something to him, because he sometimes just like does things or make comments and it's like yada yada. And like Mick did come in there liking Isabel, but like Isabel and Connor have been basically together since the beginning. So like no one really got anywhere with any of them. They pretty much haven't really spoken to anybody, which is fair. And that's, we usually have a couple like that where it's like, and across any Love Island, maybe they've gotten together like the first day, the first week. So she's basically saying, you need to like tell him, like, you can't be doing that, yada yada. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So then later in the kitchen, Mick had asked Isabel before, like, are you okay? Like, yada yada. She was like, yeah, I'm fine. She didn't really say anything. So later in the kitchen, like a couple of them are sitting around, and this conversation kind of comes up because Boston mentioned how when the girls were talking about Mick and Mick was doing a lot, they were saying, oh, well, everyone else asked us before doing anything, like, is that okay, yada yada. And Boston was like, no guys asked that, what are you talking about? And they were saying like Mick didn't do that. She was like, what are you talking about? So she's telling Mick, like, they were all kind of chatting about you downstairs, like saying, like, trying to blow things out of proportion, because she was thinking as well, like, the girls were quiet when like she was getting her dance, and like that didn't feel cool because like everyone's cheering everyone on, and then I get my dance and it's just like quiet. She's like, well, because they don't like us, like there's still a lot of tension there. Anyways, so Mick is saying to Isabel, like, so were you talking about me downstairs? Yeah, she was like, what are you talking about, yada yada. And then he says, oh, well, like I didn't yada yada, I like flipped your girl inside out, whatever. Which obviously is not a great comment to make, but Connor, probably after that discussion with Isabel where she was saying like, stand up to him, you can't be having him do this, yada yada, and basically trying to say like, you need to like say something and like, rah rah rah. They get in a little like argument, a bunch of F you backs and forth, yada yada, whatever. Connor goes off, he's like heated, he's like needing time just to like walk back and forth and settle himself down. Isabel's feeling upset. And like I said, to be fair, that comment from Mick was probably like, too much. Like, even though he was saying he didn't think about it like that, he was just, and even the challenge, he was just, having a laugh at the challenge, whatever. So there's all this, Mick apologizes, whatever. People have like moved on from it essentially. But that was like just another instance of Isabel kind of like doing a lot in a sense, and not in a good way, and a lot. Because again, you can do a lot and still be great, but like doing a lot, and yeah. So there's all that going on. Again, like I mentioned, I touched on the situation with the girls, situation with Mick from tonight. think about Gabby's piece. Gabby and Jotham have been arguing back and forth for like days now, and Jotham has been expressing that I feel like I can't do anything right. Like she's always kind of having a go at him for things, and it's kind of annoying because I'm like, why do you have me? Why these girls? Why do you have me trying to stick up for a man? Like, no, we're supposed to be together here. But Jotham is like rightly confused at a lot of these moments because even the thing with him like going on a date with Mia, he was asked on a date with Mia. He goes and I guess he was flirty, whatever, but she was just as flirty with Alex, telling him like even more than Jotham was. Like, I want to get to know you. Like, I keep looking at you, you're yada, whatever. So she's getting upset at Jotham for like doing the same, but even on a less scale, but then trying to say, oh, I wasn't doing anything with Alex. I wasn't flirty with Alex or like whatever. It's just weird. And then today he was having like a chat in the dressing room with Boston and Mia, and Mateo was there. And Gabby's like eavesdropping outside, and then she's like telling him later, oh, that's like, you can't be talking like that. Like, why would you speak that way in terms of, they were talking about like sex and things like that. She's like, why would you speak that way when I'm not there and whatever. And he's like so confused about it. And he was saying in his VT, like, I have friends who talk like that. Like, you know, so I don't know if I'd felt like, it felt judgmental, and it felt like, why is she pulling me up on this, whatever. You can tell he's getting like annoyed at some of these situations, kind of constant. And again, like, I can't do anything right. I'm always like getting in trouble for something. Anyway, so there's all that going on. Again, I don't even need to touch on Sharn really, because like, again, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like the way she's been with Boston, quite cold, quite like upset about like, obviously maybe Ross is slipping away a little bit, even though Ross still really likes her, but she just doesn't want to do the whole competition thing and whatnot. And again, she was very fine and well being open, but I think especially when you see your guy being open, but then I don't really have options like that. And Alex, she's with Alex right now, but she doesn't really like him like that and whatever. So obviously that makes the jealousy more and like whatever. And she was kind of doing a lot in the early days, and it's still kind of just like there, but they've cooled off a little bit for now. But that's just added to the kind of like beef and tension that we've seen among the girls in the villa. So I was saying like that when Mick apologized to Connor and Isabel, they hugged it out. It was fine. It was vibes. Like, boys can move on so quickly from things, and like, you know, us girls sometimes, you know, it's just, it can be a long road. Anyway, so going back to the beginning of what I was saying here, this is getting long. Sophie comes in. It's like, okay, if someone's getting dumped tonight, like, we just asked the Superfans, who's your favorite Islander? So whoever's the lowest votes will be dumped. And they say no particular order. So they start calling people to sit down. And obviously, I know they said no particular order. They're going to leave people standing up there who are probably going to have the most reaction or whatever. Like, they're not going to put the 3 new bombshells as the last three left, because people wouldn't care as much, the people in there, because like they're new or whatever. But you have people who stand up and stay, who are like maybe in good connections, whatever, all this. So they have the last 3 standing up, not saying those are the bottom 3, but the last 3 standing up to be called are Boston, Mick, and Isabel. Sophie says, okay, who's going to sit down next? Who's safe next? Boston. And then everyone's like, because they probably thought automatically Boston's the new girl. Probably also thought maybe because she's the black one. Like, she probably would have the fewest votes maybe, because again, the Love Island Australia track record is horrible for black people and people of color, but especially black people, black women, I should say. Anyways, Boston sits down. So left to basically be dumped is either Mick or Isabel. So I'm sat there, everyone's sitting there like, oh my gosh, they obviously are hoping maybe Mick goes home. Because, you know, like, Mick's a little bit of he stirs the pot sometimes, and Isabel has a good connection, whatever. But Mick is the one who's safe. So Isabel has been dumped, and right away everyone is like shocked, gagged. I had a feeling it was gonna be someone big too, because in the previews we kept seeing everyone's faces like so shocked. And it could have been, you know, who knows what, but I thought it would be someone with like, you know, a shocking, obviously, dumping here. But right away, even when she was standing up, even before she was standing up, I was thinking Isabel might be at the very bottom here. One, because I saw their reactions. I was like, probably Isabel or Sharn, because those are the 2 girls Gabby as well, but who've most really been doing like, you know, it was like, with the girls especially, I think the treatment they've been doing with the girls, I just really have not liked at all, especially Boston, I feel like, but even Isabel with Mia as well. So Isabel's dumped. She goes and stands up next to Sophie. She's like, you have anything to say? And then she's like, no, like, I'm just so surprised I had like I have a genuine connection here and here. I'm very genuine. And Connor says, like, that's what she's leaving with. He says he's going to leave. Obviously, he was going to leave because, one, Isabel would never see or speak to that man if he didn't leave with her right then. I know that for a fact. You can tell by how she is. He was never going to get a shot with her if he didn't leave. And I don't know if they're together now. Like, again, they filmed this in the summer. I'm not sure if they're together now. I like to kind of like stay away from that until after the show's done. So obviously he leaves her there. Apparently it's the first time ever in Love Island Australia history that someone has left with someone. So cute, nice, whatever. And Sophie's asking him, okay, what do you guys feel about this? And Connor's like, I'm just confused. And like, yeah, he's like upset, obviously. And then Isabel goes, well, you know, if we're like the most effing genuine here, so if they don't think we're genuine, then they can get effed. And I'm like, girl, like, like, girl, this is not helping you. I don't know what you think. What are you doing? What are you doing here? They all go up to start packing. She's like, I want to leave now. She's like crying, bawling in the dressing room. The girls, not the bombshells, but the other girls are in there talking like, that's not right. You mean to tell me you got fewer votes than Alex, than Boston, than me, like the new people? You tell me you got fewer votes than them? Like, what are you talking about? And they're just over there. And even Yana was like, you got more, Mia and Boston got more votes than you? So I'm like, Yana, I'm kind of like, I don't know. And they're sitting there like, oh, I can't believe this. Izzy's like crying and all this stuff like, I'm so genuine, yada, yada, yada. I don't even think it has anything, I genuinely don't think it has nothing to do with like her genuine connection with Connor or whatever. I think that's seemingly fine. What I feel like it is because of your behavior the past several days. The only thing with Connor that we've had any sense of, which I've remembered in this episode because he mentioned after the dance challenge, he said, oh yeah, Zane said this. I was like, oh yeah, he's the one Zane's his roommate. Zane from last year, who was like, I forget the girl, he was like, he dated before or whatever before, and he was like in some mess and, you know, he like outed her in terms of what they did at the whole Hotel Moore thing, whatever. I was like, oh yeah, Zane is the roommate. I wonder that's why people were suspicious of Connor in the beginning, because we had that challenge where they were saying, who is the Islander you think is like, or was like the thing is like, how genuine do you think Connor is? And he had like a lower rating, and Isabel was like quite confused. But I wonder if it has anything to do with Zane, because I'm like, yeah, it's true, Zane's your roommate. Anyway, I don't think it has anything to do with like their connection or how genuine they are. Again, we've seen it before, people who get together early on and are actually like, they do quite well, and they seem fine in that department to some level, even though there were some other things that maybe some people viewing I could see maybe wouldn't like, her saying like, don't talk right now or whatever. Again, some people like that, and that's fine, whatever. But I think it really has been her behavior around the villa with the girls in particular, and then even the mixed situation, like getting Connor riled up when he was fine, and you're basically saying, no, you need to actually, because he was doing it, and he was like, wait, what did he do? He didn't even know. He's like, wait, what did he, I couldn't even really see, like, what are you talking about? And he basically like got in his head like, okay, I need to be upset here, and she needs to see me upset, because that way maybe like she'll be more happy if, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it was all these things, and it's kind of like, okay, they said, who was your favorite Islander? Now we're going to just cut you. So she was going in there, like, obviously very upset, whatever. Even on the way out, she was throwing up middle fingers and was saying, like, F you guys, see you, whatever, yada, yada, yada. They heard them talking to the producers outside, and they're saying, like, this is, like, your last chance to say something. He's like, no, Connor said, I said everything at the fire pit. She's like, no, I feel like if they don't think we're genuine, like, F them, like, I'm not doing it, yada, yada. And just, like, obviously very upset, because I almost feel like probably at some point when you get to that point in Love Island, you're more than halfway there, you've been in a couple for a long time, you probably have a sense of entitlement that I feel like maybe Isabel had in terms of like, okay, we're the strongest couple in here. Surely we're the winners. Like maybe already thinking about that, or surely we're gonna be safe, whatever. Our fellow Islanders will never vote us off. Superfans are obviously gonna love us because we're in this great situation, of course. So you might have that sense of entitlement. That's what it was feeling like to me a little bit, like, oh, like I had this great couple, I've been here since day one, and surely I'm not gonna be dumped. Like, what are you talking about? And I think Connor was upset as well because, you know, I mean, anyone would be upset if you get dumped like that by the public, but I think he thought upset as well because like, it is Love Island. Like, you want to stay on Love Island. It's an experience, the TV show you want to stay on. Even if you have this good connection, you want to stay on TV. Even people don't want to say that, but that has to be something they have to think about. And I think, again, I was thinking about it was Superfans voting. It wasn't the public voting right now. So that's the thing is, in normal Love Island situation, you could leave the villa and your episode where you were dumped airs like 2 days after you were dumped, like maybe when you're already home. And then in that situation, or usually I think they hold you, but the point is it's like airing live. So I could go home essentially and immediately open up Twitter, go on TikTok, go wherever, talk to my friends and family and say, what have people been saying about me? Or what have you seen that has maybe had me dumped like this? Especially if you get dumped by the public. Like, what's happened in the villa? Like, what's been happening? But since it's filmed like months before, you can basically go home and maybe you're going to sit there and speculate, like, what happened? Why was I dumped? Whatever. You don't know what the people have been watching. And it might only be in the situation now, unless she's spoken to producers, I don't know. It might only be now that it's airing that maybe Isabel, if she's doing any reflection, I don't know, to be like, oh, this is why maybe they dumped me, because they were showing this, or I was quite cold and rude here. I'm not sure if she's doing that kind of reflection, but it's interesting. I wonder what that's like to basically be wondering for 4 months, like, why was I dumped from the villa? Like, what happened? When again, if you're on Love Island USA or Love Island in the UK, whatever, you can come out the villa and like right away see, oh, this is what happened, whatever. And this is maybe what happened, and rather than like, I wonder if she's like she was like stewing for like all those months to be like, oh, they clearly just, because she kept focusing on like, they don't think our connection is genuine, like F them, whatever. And I don't think it was that at all. I mean, or if it was that, I think it was a small percentage of that. I think it was mostly about your behavior in the villa the past couple of days. So, or even longer than that, but it's really come out in the past couple of days. So yeah, that's where we're at with Love Island Australia. It's getting interesting. We're gonna have like a hotel and more now. 2 new girls, 2 K-Ways are coming in. Emma and Jade, who are gonna like each gonna take a boy for like an overnight stay or whatever. I don't know. And I'm not sure if the girls will have the same thing. I hope they do. I think there was one year where the girls didn't have anything. It was like early, and I'm being like, why don't the girls have like temptations and they're getting them? I don't know. So we're kind of at that stage now of the show. We'll see what happens. We'll see who makes it. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the whole like Gabby and Sharn as well, but especially on Isabel and her being dumped. Like again, shout out to the Superfans. I'm glad. And again, I really wonder what they exactly are watching and like how close the cuts are that they see or we see, whatever, like how similar they are. But again, I think a lot of people have been feeling things about Isabel in particular, but a lot of the girls for the past couple days, and yada yada. But I'm happy Isabel's gone, honestly, because she was bothering me. She was bothering me quite a lot. And again, it's like these girls have me supporting men. Like, be better. I shouldn't be like talking about, oh, Jotham, they're picking too much on Jotham, or Ross is in a situation. I shouldn't be trying to side with men here. Like, come on, ladies, please. Yeah, so give me your thoughts on Love Island Australia so far if you've been watching. It's been quite good so far. Love Island Australia usually is. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the show as a whole. These 3 girls, Isabel's dumping, the whole kind of thing. Do you think her and Connor are genuine? Are you like worried about that? Or do you agree with me? Do you think it was more like how she's been in the villa the past few days? That's what I feel like it is. So again, shout out to the Superfans. You guys are the best. And yeah, we'll keep watching.